Let's drop the beat.
If you're dealing with a legitimate entity in the US, those legitimate entities that are attached to crypto are indeed subject to the Know Your Customer rules and AML. If you're looking to use Bitcoin to go through those entities and go on the dark web and think you're not going to get caught,
you're going to get caught. So this is a warning, 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 warning.
Hello world, this is Who Let the Bulls Out, coming back at you with my second video. Our opening remarks come from Steve Mnuchin, U.S. Secretary of the Treasury, a man who himself is not letting the bulls out, at least not in the traditional sense. He wants to know who you're playing with and who you're gaming with in the digital asset space. He mentions two acronyms, AML and KYC. These stand for Anti-Money Laundering Initiatives and Know Your Customer Protocol, two compliance standards that are going to be enacted and regulated and mandated to apply to all exchanges and individuals buying, selling, and trading cryptocurrencies going forward. The big theme here is that anonymity is taking a backseat to Know Your Customer Protocol. People around the world are being asked to provide their IDs to crypto exchanges. Even though they print money to order and change interest rates to control inflation, this is the language the global power, banking, and regulatory elites are using to justify regulating cryptocurrencies. So we're all going to have to play by the same rules, whether as customers or business operating in a global digital economy. A lot of this regulatory language stems from the FATF, the Financial Action Task Force. It's a focus group created by the G7, namely Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the UK, and the USA. The FATF has been charged with anti-money laundering initiatives and with countering the finance of terrorism standards. They're also working with the Japanese government to change regulations concerning cryptocurrencies in Japan to make the country more hospitable to a digital and cryptocurrency-based payment network that will challenge the existing infrastructure of interbank payment settlements provided by SWIFT. Essentially, SWIFT oversees a messaging protocol that transfers money around the world from bank to bank. Their fee structure is relatively higher, and their transfer times are relatively slower than other networks and technologies being offered by new companies like Ripple and others. This matters because competition for global payments and value creation in the digital asset space is very high. More importantly, there is a huge initiative coming from the top down to let people know who they're dealing with in the digital asset economy. So if people at the national level are providing their IDs, I think it's safe to say that in a global economy that's digital, individuals are going to have to provide some kind of global ID, or there's going to be some kind of global ID created for everyone that wants to transact within the digital economy. I'd like this theme of KYC, Know Your Customer, to fit a broader perspective for where I think global digital ID could be going for citizens of the world in the future. So digital global ID, data as simulation and power. So why digital global ID? To legitimize agents for participation and transaction within a global digital payments infrastructure, essentially because crypto is taking over the global economy. Digital ID will replicate the transparency and immutability required of the assets exchanged, and it commutes this transparency onto people and businesses acting within the space. It leverages the power toward entities responsible for digital records, and it fits a broader globalist agenda expressed by the power and banking elites. So data as simulation of people. Data encased in your ID simulates you, that which it represents. Data uses will create new relationships, services, and new realities. This will necessitate at least 4 new legal frameworks. Peer-to-peer, agents transacting with agents, aka people-to-people transactions. Consumer, agents transacting with entities, aka people transacting with businesses and charities and other entities. B2B, businesses transacting with businesses. And lastly, those operating outside or above the system. So people that may not work directly with agents within the system, but might be above it or operating it. Remember the engineer from The Matrix? Neo doesn't even know he exists until he meets the man, and then kind of places himself within a larger invisible hierarchy that he didn't know existed. So what could be the components of a digital ID? What information of yours could be in there, theoretically? Well, a list of assets held, records of sale and ownership for property, cars, boats, valuables, your investment info like bonds, stocks, mutual funds, and your bank balances and digital asset addresses and balances. Your ID may also contain information about your naturalization, your citizenship, record of your birth or its certificate. Your digital ID might contain biometric and medical records data, aka your retina, blood type, eye color, fingerprint, heart rate, your weight, age, records about your immunization, health services, psychiatric and surgical histories, maybe even prescription or appointment and care provider info. Your ID could contain criminal and public records data about your convictions, indictments, prosecutions, court appearances, lawsuits, incarcerations, warrants, and probations. It could include information about active insurance policies like life, home, auto, medical, dental, and other policies, and your dependent info. Your ID may contain information about your educational history, where you've graduated from, the degrees you've earned, certifications, or qualifications. It could incorporate some aspect of a sociability composite or personality rating as kind of a reputation system for all agents participating in a system. So this would theoretically compile all transaction and review data for you for your online and in-person purchases, amongst others. It makes me think of the Russian term kompromat, personal dirt that could be used against you. Are there any skeletons in your closet, compromising videos, or information that could be brought against you? All this would affect your sociability composite if it's to be included in your digital ID. It may also include some information about your living will, your final intent, your estate plan. Your digital ID might contain information about your consumer credit rating, although this could be replaced or revised in a digital economy. It might also contain information about your demographics, your marital status, your income level, where you reside. May also incorporate some aspect of national or someday global voter ID, though don't know if we'll ever have global elections in my lifetime. So some items for consideration here. Oh yeah, well says who? Well, not me, but a global regulatory entity may very well oversee and administer this digital ID process. They'll inevitably have ties to banks, institutions, and companies. Think about what these entities already have in the way of our personal, finance, preference, and geolocation data. Some of this data will be compulsory, aka provided for you. Some of it will be voluntary. You'll have to fork it over. But either way, the mitigation process of learning what exists about you out there on a global ID platform, it'll be one heck of a show. ID data will be condensed and encrypted and ultimately scanned. This creates read-level access, and I think this will involve some type of read filtering where they'll block access to certain info by content area. Your lawyer won't need your shot records. Also, some of these component categories I listed before, they may change or hybridize. We may not be married to a sociability composite or a credit rating, but they may very well change as technology outpaces them. Lastly, I want to share that systemic transparency does not equal transparent use of the system. There is no guarantee that the items contained in your global digital ID will be housed securely or will be used for your benefit. So I want to make this clear that even though there's no existing global ID platform in place, I think it's right around the corner, a few years away, and KYC is going to be a central component of the digital economy and digital asset space going forward. Also, competition is high. Companies like Facebook, which doesn't even have a great data protection reputation, they're literally flocking to the digital asset game. They're threatening to create cryptocurrencies and tokens that will challenge those that have been here for a decade. Other companies like Ripple have already been here, working with regulators to abide by the AML and KYC frameworks that are being adopted. They have a leg up. As competition heats up, it becomes very clear to me that even though there isn't a global digital ID system in place now, this KYC discussion is leading up to, I think, a situation where they're going to issue some kind of global ID for agents and entities transacting in a global economy, rightly or wrongly. I don't mean to spread a bunch of fear-mongering or uncertainty with this video. My intentions here are to entertain a scenario that I think is very likely in the future for people conducting business and purchases with digital assets. I'm not a financial advisor. These videos are meant for our entertainment purposes only. I'm just a man with a microphone and some crazy ideas. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please do consider subscribing, hitting the like, and clicking the little bell to get notifications about my channel. I appreciate all the support. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Peace.